Hey guys, what's up and welcome back. The next topic that we're going to discuss in Terraform is the Terraform Taint, or I would say replace. We will see that how we can use a taint or replace method to enforce replacement of an existing resource while making sure that the other resources in the configuration are not being affected. So there could be scenarios where you think that your resource or the instance of a resource is being damaged or degraded outside of the Terraform's knowledge, and you want to enforce the replacement of that one. So in that case, you use Terraform Taint command. Now Terraform Taint command is kind of deprecated now. Now we use the replace instead of Terraform Taint. Let's go through the theory first, and then of course we'll see that how these two different methods are being implemented. Terraform Taint command was used to manually mark a Terraform managed resource as tainted in the Terraform state. A tainted resource would then be destroyed and recreated or reprovisioned during the next Terraform apply operation, even there were no changes in the Terraform configuration itself. This was useful in situations where a resource becomes damaged or degraded outside of the Terraform's knowledge, and a fresh replacement was desired. Now this taint methodology or this method is being kind of deprecated now. Now we use the replace method or the replace option with the Terraform apply command. To cut the story short, or the crux of this thing is that if you think that your resource has been degraded or damaged outside of the Terraform's knowledge and you want to enforce the replacement of that one, then in that case, either use the taint command, which is a deprecated version, or the newer form factor of this replacement stuff, which is the replace option with the Terraform apply command. Let's try to work it out in the form of a project. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a new folder out there. So let's get going with the stuff. So this folder would be our new working directory or new Terraform project. So let's name it as tf-replace, simple name. And of course, this will just create a main.tf file, which is the config file. I'm going to just go ahead and just copy and paste the Terraform blocks and the provider blocks as always, and include them over here. And not to mention, let's go ahead and initialize this working directory or this new project that we're just working on right now. Terraform it to install the plugins, and you'll see that this will be done in this next few seconds. Now the plan of action is that I'm going to just configure two different resources in the same config file or the configuration file. One would be the instance and the other one would be the S3 bucket. Let's go ahead and let's declare a resource out there. So this resource block would belong to my AWS_instance resource type. All right. And I just name it as, let's suppose, taint demo instance. You can name it whatever you want because this is just a resource name, and we'll just include some of the basic attributes only, not the detailed one. So the basic attributes include the AMI, the instance type, which would be t2.micro in this case, and we can include the tags over here. So tags would be, for example, I will just name it as a taint demo instance. Let's copy this thing and let's put that in the double quotations, and that's it. Of course, I have to just copy and paste the AMI from other file itself. So of course, you have to just use any one of the AMIs which you find out to be the free tier eligible AMI. So Amazon Linux AMI, Ubuntu AMIs, or some of the Microsoft Windows Server AMIs are free tier eligible. They're free tier eligible, which means that they are free of cost. You don't have to pay for them for their usage. So you have to use any of one of the AMIs out there. So this is the Amazon Linux AMI that I'm using right now. It is free tier eligible, and this could be used without paying any additional charges. So as if now this resource is being deployed, not deployed, I would say that, configured. We'll deploy that afterwards once we run the Terraform apply operation. It's been configured now, right? This is a resource block with the resource type as AWS_instance, the resource name, taint demo instance. So this is a complete resource address. So AWS_instance dot taint_demo_instance is the resource address. It includes some of the basic attributes, which includes the AMI, the instance type, and the tags. In the next resource block, we are going to declare something called an S3 bucket. So let's keep it as it is. AWS underscore S3 underscore bucket. The resource name would be Taint demo bucket. Let's name it. And I'll just include only one attribute, which is the bucket name. So how we declare the bucket name? Using the bucket attribute followed by the name of the bucket. So I just name it as taint -demo -bucket. And I think this would be more than sufficient in terms of the naming conventions. I just put, for example, I think this would be the unique bucket name. That's it. So only one thing we need to declare is the bucket name. So we have two resource blocks. One is for the instance, for the launching of the instance. Another one is for the bucket. Let's go ahead and format everything. So how do we format the config file to the canonical format and style? You just have to run the command terraform fmt. You can see that the indentation and white spaces have been taken care of automatically. We just run the next command, terraform validate. It's a best practice to always validate your config files because if any syntactical or logical incorrectness is there, then you get to know that what needs to be corrected or what needs to be rectified. So the configuration is valid. Everything is perfectly all right. I don't think we have to change anything over here. Let's go ahead and run the command terraform apply auto approve so that we can auto approve the changes. And very soon these two resources will be deployed. And once they're deployed, then we'll see that how we can pick one of these two resources and enforce a replacement using both the methods. One is the taint method, which is a deprecated version, and the new method or the recommended method, which is the replace option with the terraform apply command. So as you can see, these two resources are being provisioned successfully. Let's go ahead and let's see the AWS Maven console and cross-check and verify. So let's go to my instance dashboard real quick. Let's go to the instances right now. And you will see that, yes, this instance is just getting initialized. And let's open the S3 dashboard. So I just open that in a new tab. And let's see that if this bucket is showing up. Let's go by the creation date. And as you can see that this bucket is showing up, the same bucket that we selected or we named as taint demo S3 bucket. So the same bucket is being provisioned. So as of now, we have two different resources being provisioned via the same configuration file. So if you see the configuration file, it is the same one for both the resources. Let's take a scenario. The scenario is that I have found that this instance that I've launched, I'm talking about this instance right now. Of course, that's a resource block, but this is the actual instance which I've just provisioned. Let's imagine after a few days or after a few weeks, I found out, or I started seeing problems with this instance. Maybe this instance is getting restarted by itself. It's getting frozen. It's not able to process some of my requests out there or whatever. There could be n number of issues with the instance. It could be software related. It could be, let's suppose, I have made some changes or installed some software applications upon this instance, and those changes had led to some issues out there. So I think that a replacement of this instance is now desired, and based on the scenario, I need to make sure that this instance is being destroyed successfully, and followed by launching of a new instance, exact replica of this instance, the newer one, and for that, I need to make sure that once I enforce the replacement of this instance, the other resources that are configured in the same configuration file are not being affected. Because if I just go back and let's imagine, if let's try to put that into practice. Let's try to visualize this thing. If I just run the command Terraform, okay, let's run a simple command. Let's run the simple command Terraform plan -destroy. Okay, this means that if I run any of the destroy operations out there against this configuration file, what exactly it's going to destroy? Now, you will see that by default, when I just try to perform any of the destruction against any of the config file, all the resources get destroyed. So you can see 2 to destroy. So which of the 2 resources it's going to destroy? The bucket, right? The bucket and the instance as well. Fine. So by default, if you just run the Terraform destroy operation against any of the config file, whatever resources are listed in that config file, or whatever resources are being configured in your Terraform project or Terraform working directory, all of them get destroyed. But in this scenario, as I've already depicted or I've already stated, the instance itself is kind of tainted, or I would say it is degraded or damaged. It is not working as intended. It has some issues out there. I want to enforce the replacement of only this one. I want to destroy this one and create a new replacement without affecting the other resources. In my case, the other resources is an S3 bucket. So how do I go about doing that? The very first approach, which is the approach of tainting, which is now deprecated, is that I just first thing first mark this resource as tainted. And once it's tainted, I run the command Terraform apply, and automatically a new replacement would be initiated, which means that this instance will be destroyed and new one would be launched automatically. Let's try to put that into action. So I just go ahead and just right click and open the terminal. And okay, before I can just run this command, let's open the Terraform state file. Okay, this is my Terraform state file, and this is the state of my instance, or the attribute and the values of the instance right now. Let's run the command. Now see what happens. First thing first, I run the command Terraform state list. Now this is a state command, a state subcommand, which shows me the list of resources that are being managed by Terraform state. So Terraform state is tracking these resources, these 2 resources for me, which includes the instance resource address and the bucket resource address. Of course, I'm interested to just pick out this instance resource address and taint it. So I just copy this thing, run the command Terraform Taint, and paste this thing. And once I press enter, you will see that this instance resource is marked as tainted. Okay, what's next? When I run the command Terraform plan, it will automatically show me that now it's going to just initiate a replacement, destroy the existing instance, followed by the launching of a new one, which is the default behavior. So you can see that one to add, one to destroy. Okay, so you will see that it's going to destroy this instance. So you can see that destroy and then create a replacement. This resource address or this resource is tainted, so it must be replaced. I just go ahead and run the command Terraform apply and just give my consent using auto approve. And you're going to be seeing that I just go back and just hit refresh. In the next few seconds, we're going to see that this instance, the very instance it's running right now, it will be it will shut down or stop itself. It is shutting down. It will get terminated, followed by launching of a replacement instance. Right? So this is a deprecated version of the replacement, or I would say this is the older method to put that into the more relevant words. This is the outdated method of tainting a resource, and then you just run the Terraform apply operation. In the next Terraform apply operation, a replacement will be initiated, which means that the existing resource will be destroyed, followed by the launching of a new one. So my existing or the older instance is destroyed, it's terminated, and the new instance is getting launched. Right? Now, this is still working behind the scenes, and as you can see, that this is a very I would say easy method. Now it's an easy method to just go about going for a replacement. And the best part is that the other resources in my Terraform project, which means that this S3 bucket was not at all affected. Okay, so this means that without running the full-blown Terraform destroy operation, I can just nitpick one or two resources and just initiate the replacement of them. Right, so this process is complete. Now let's do one thing. Let's clear everything out. So let's clear everything out on the terminal. Now, if I just go to the Terraform state file, I run the command terraform state list. Okay. And I just copy this resource address and say terraform taint followed by the resource address of the instance. This instance is being tainted. Now, if I just run the command terraform plan, it will show me that this is being this will be destroyed in the next terraform apply operation. So this will show me the execution plan that this will be done. You can see that one to add, one to destroy. So what I can do is that let's suppose that after I mark the resource as tainted, I have realized that this resource should not be replaced. So I can also untaint it. So if I say terraform untaint followed by the resource address, you will see that, okay, I misspelled terraform. So I'll say terraform untaint followed by the resource address. You will see that it's no longer tainted now. The tainted tag is being removed. And if I just run the command, you can see that resource instance, resource address followed by the resource address has been successfully untainted. So if I just run the command terraform plan, now it will not show me any type of destruction or the replacement, or it will show me that no changes need to be done. Okay, so the best part about the taint command is that you can also, once you taint any resource out there, and after that you realize that, okay, I don't need to go for the replacement of that one. Before running the Terraform apply operation or any of the Terraform operations, you just untaint that resource so that you don't enforce its replacement. So you can backtrack yourself from the replacement of the resource by untainting a resource. Now this I would say this is a deprecated version now. This can be used, right? This still can be used, but not the suggested method. I would say the recommended method is that you use the replace flag. Okay, how do that? So I just run the command terraform plan replace option equal to followed by the resource address. Now this will show me the replacement plan. So this will show me exactly that if I just go for the replacement of this instance, what exactly would be done behind the scenes. So you can see that one to add, one to destroy. And finally, I run the command. Okay, let's clear everything out so that you can see everything. All the commands you can see without any issue. So let's clear this thing. So I just rerun the previous command. I just do one thing. I just, instead of the plan keyword, I use the apply. So terraform apply followed by replace option equal to the resource address. Now this is a single command which will enforce the replacement. Previously, when we have seen that when we use the taint command, you have to first taint a resource, and then you have to run the terraform apply operation. This means that to enforce the replacement of a resource, you have to execute two different terraform commands, terraform taint and terraform apply. But in this case, you just have to use the replace option equal to the resource address. In a single execution, in a single command itself, the replacement would be initiated. And as you can see that I've just press enter, and this will initiate the replacement of this resource. I just give a consent. And if I just go back, I'm going to see that the existing instance would be shutting down, followed by a new instance would be initiated. Right, so a replacement would be enforced. So comparatively, if you compare that with the taint operation, this is easy to use. You just need one single command to enforce replacement. Because in the taint, you just have to first thing first taint a resource, and then you have to run the Terraform apply operation. But in this case, you just have to use the replace option equal to the resource address. So with the Terraform apply operation, you just have to use replace option. And now you have to give the input in terms of the source address for the resource that needs a replacement. So comparatively, you will see that it is much more easier to work with. So as you can see that if I just hit refresh, this would be terminated and a new instance is getting initialized. That's it. So I guess we can just go ahead and just destroy everything so that we can just have everything cleaned up. So Terraform apply, destroy, and let's auto approve. It's always the best practice to wipe out everything or clean up everything so that you don't get overcharged for the usage of the resources in AWS. So that's all about the taint option or the replace option. Now you can use any one of these two methods, and as I was already emphasized before, taint is kind of deprecated. It needs two different commands to be executed for the complete replacement to happen. But if you use the newer method, which is the replace option, then you just need one single command to enforce replacement. So I hope that this was informative. Thank you so very much.